Kurunji Senior Secondary School, CBSE, Namakkal.
Successful result producing school in state every year.
Administered by the Board of Directors with over 35 years of experience in the teaching field.
Special attention on art, craft, music, dance, silambam, yoga, skating and karate.
Focus on Hindi Sabha and Spell Bee Olympiad exams.
Smart class for effective and innovative learning and well-furnished library.
Solitary importance on sports and games in state and national level.
WhatsApp facilities to know activities of students and school inside the campus.
NEET, JEE, IIT coaching experts from Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh along with our effective teachers.
Admission registration for classes LKG to +2.
Kurunji Educational Institution, Kavetipatti, Namakkal. Admission in progress. CBSE, KG to 12, contact 9025895176. Metric 6 to 12, contact 9344567484. For online admission, log on to www.kurunjischoolnkl.in.
In continuation to the last class, in this class we are going to discuss specific heat capacity and then specific heat capacity of water. After that, we are going to discuss thermodynamic state variables and equation of state. Okay, right. Here, regarding the specific heat capacity, we already had a discussion in our previous chapter. That is what thermal properties of matter. We discussed what is specific heat capacity, what is specific heat capacity of solids, and what is specific heat capacity of liquids. Right? Liquids means what? Fluids. But here once again we are going to discuss the specific heat capacity in terms of thermodynamics point of view. In terms of thermodynamics point of view. Okay, right. See, before entering into that, first I will tell you the information. That is what I will tell you the definition of specific heat capacity. I will tell you the definition of specific heat capacity. Okay, right. See, obviously the definition is same what we already discussed in our previous chapter. Here also we are getting the same definition, right? See, what is that? An amount of heat delta Q supplied to a substance. An amount of heat delta Q supplied to a substance changes its temperature from capital T to T plus delta T. Okay, right. We define heat capacity of a substance. We define heat capacity of a substance. S is equal to delta Q by delta T. So this is what heat capacity, not specific heat capacity. Based on this, we are going to define specific heat capacity in the next step. But here it is the heat capacity of a substance, that is S is equal to delta Q by delta T. Now, actually here delta Q and heat capacity S to be proportional to the mass of the substance, right? We expect here delta Q and therefore heat capacity S to be proportional to the mass of the substance, right? Further, this heat capacity also depend on the temperature, that is different amount of heat may be needed for a unit rise of temperature at different temperatures. For example, the temperature of the substance has to rise from 20 degrees centigrade to 21 degrees centigrade. The temperature of a substance has to rise from 51 degrees centigrade to 50 degrees centigrade, right? Same substance, but based on the temperature difference, say at what temperature we want to rise it. Based on that, see, different amount of heat may be needed for a unit rise in temperature at different temperatures, right? Okay. Now, to define a constant characteristic of the substance and independent of its amount, we divide S by the mass of the substance, M in kilogram. See, this one we are going to divide with mass of the substance in kilogram, right? See, based on this you can write specific heat capacity of a substance S is equal to S by M, that is equal to 1 by M into delta Q by delta T. Here S is known as the specific heat capacity of the substance. It depends upon nature of the substance and its temperature. So this is the important point we have to keep in mind. S is known as the specific heat capacity of the substance. It depends on the nature of the substance and its temperature. Right, that is one thing. And a unit is joule per kg per Kelvin. Joule per kg per Kelvin. Okay, right. This is regarding the solid, because in solid substance we used to take mass in terms of kilogram. Na? Right. Suppose if you go for like gases, see there we are going to consider the unit to know the amount of gas in terms of moles. So there how can we define the same physical quantity? Mean here, right? If the amount of substance is specified in terms of moles instead of mass in kilogram, we can define heat capacity per mole of the substance. We can define heat capacity per mole of the substance, that is C is equal to S by mu. C is the molar specific heat capacity, right? C is equal to S by mu, that is equal to 1 by mu into dq by dt. Okay, right? 1 by mu into delta q by delta t. 1 by mu into delta q by delta t. So here C is known as molar specific heat capacity of a substance. Here C is known as molar specific heat capacity of the substance. Like small s, C is also independent of the amount of substance, but C depends upon the nature of the substance, its temperature, and the conditions under which heat is supplied. The conditions under which heat is supplied. Here the unit is joule per mole per Kelvin. Joule per mole per Kelvin. Okay, right. See, as we shall see later in connection with the specific heats of gases, that is in the upcoming chapter, kinetic theory of gases. See, the additional conditions may be needed to define CRS, that is what molar specific heat capacity and specific heat capacity. See, the idea in defining C, that is molar specific heat capacity, is that simple predictions can be made in regard to molar specific heat capacities, right? See here, here I will tell you some values for different substances regarding the specific heats, that is joule per kg per Kelvin, and molar specific heat, that is what joule per mole per Kelvin. For example, if you take aluminium, right, specific heat capacity is 900, but molar specific heat capacity is 24.4. Suppose if you take carbon, the specific heat capacity is 506.5 joule per kg per Kelvin, and molar specific heat is 6.1. For copper, specific heat capacity is 386.4, but molar specific heat is 24.5. Similarly, lead 127.7 is the specific heat capacity, and 26.5 is the molar specific heat capacity. And in case of silver, specific heat capacity is 236.1, but molar specific heat capacity is 25.5. Tungsten, specific heat capacity is 134.4, but molar specific heat capacity is 24.9 joule per mole per Kelvin. This is what the values of different substances regarding the specific heat capacity and molar specific heat capacities. Okay, right. And now I want to say some information regarding these two things. See, one thing, these two things means what? Regarding the specific heat capacity and mostly molar specific heat capacity, right? See, if you see the values just now I told you, specific heats of gases generally agree with the experiment. We can use the same law of equipartition of energy that we use there to predict molar specific heat capacities of solids. That if you use that, you can predict, right? And what is law of equipartition of energy, and how to calculate molar specific heat capacity at constant volume, and how to calculate the molar specific heat capacity at constant pressure. These all things we will discuss in the upcoming chapter, that is kinetic theory of gases, right? Till that you just remember some of the information what I am going to give. See here, if we consider a solid of n atoms, each vibrating about its mean position, okay, full stop. An oscillator in one dimension has average energy of an oscillator in one dimension has average energy of 2 into 1 by 2 kBT. Suppose for a mole of solid the total energy is, for a mole of solid the total energy is U is equal to 3 kBT into Na, that is equal to 3 RT. Now at constant pressure, delta Q is equal to delta U plus P delta V, which is approximately equal to delta U. Therefore, what is capital C, that is molar specific heat capacity, means that is del Q by del T. See, del Q means which is approximately equal to delta U, and delta T is the same. So if you take the ratio of these two, then what we are getting finally? 3R, right? So we are getting 3R because U is equal to 3 RT and kilo what is that? T no? So TT will get cancelled. Finally we are getting 3R as the molar specific heat capacity at constant pressure regarding 1 mole of solid. Regarding this information also, that is what solid having n atoms and each vibrating about its main position, right? And for one oscillator, see, the molecule is going to oscillate and vibrating and translatory motion, no? Mostly in a gaseous cylinder, right? That's what we will discuss in detail in our upcoming chapter, kinetic theory of gases. But till that we have to remember this basic information for sake of understanding what is molar specific heat capacity and how to calculate a little. Next, specific heat capacity of water. Specific heat capacity of water. See, we have to discuss specially about water because I already told you in our previous chapter, water used as a coolant, right? In case of lorries and bus and cars, right? There is a radiator. In the radiator, we are going to pour water mostly, right? So we may have some other special liquids that will be different. But generally, in case of lorry, in case of tractor, we are using water in case of radiators. So because water is a coolant, the special behavior, I mean here what is the important property to behave water like a coolant means, that is again come to the same point, specific heat capacity. Specific heat capacity, okay, right. See, the old unit of heat is what, no? Calorie, no? Right. See, 1 calorie was earlier defined to be the amount of heat required to rise the temperature of 1 gram of water through 1 degree centigrade, right. With more precise measurements, it was found that the specific heat of water varies slightly with temperature. I already told you just now, before 5 minutes we discussed specific heat capacity depends upon the nature of the substance and temperature. It was found that the specific heat capacity of water varies slightly with temperature, right? Okay, you can see one picture here. In this picture, you can observe the variation of temperature range 0 degree centigrade to 100 degree centigrade. See, it is the temperature, see, we are moving like this. See, as the temperature is increasing, how the specific heat capacity value is changing, that you can observe clearly through this graph, right? Okay. For a precise definition of calorie, it was therefore necessary to specify the unit temperature interval. Unit temperature interval. And 1 calorie is defined to be the amount of heat required to rise the temperature of 1 gram of water from 14.5 degrees centigrade to 15.5 degrees centigrade. Okay, so that range of temperature also we need to mention, right? After that, you can say, since the heat is a just form of energy, it is preferable to use the unit joule instead of calorie, right? In SI units, the specific heat capacity of water, you know, that is 4186 joule per kg per Kelvin. And you can also say that 4.186 joule per gram per Kelvin. Okay. So the so-called mechanical equivalent of heat defined as the amount of work needed to produce 1 calorie of heat is in fact just a conversion factor between the two different units of energy. One is calorie, another one is joule, that is calorie to joule. Since in SI units, we use the unit joule for heat, work or any other form of energy, the term mechanical equivalent is now superfluous, right? Superfluous and need not to be used now. The term mechanical equivalent is now superfluous and need not to be used now, right? See, as already remarked, what we already remarked, the specific heat capacity depends on the process or the conditions under which a heat capacity transfer takes place. Heat capacity transfer takes place. For example, if you come to the point of gases now, please be listen carefully. If you come to the point of gases, we can define two specific heats. Already we discussed in our previous chapter, thermal properties of matter. See, those two are, one is specific heat capacity at constant volume and another one is specific heat capacity at constant pressure. Specific heat capacity at constant volume, another one is specific heat capacity at constant pressure, right? For an ideal gas equation, you can write Cp minus Cv is equal to R, no? For an ideal gas equation, we have a simple relation, that is Cp minus Cv is equal to R. So Cp is the molar specific heat capacity of an ideal gas at constant pressure and Cv is the molar specific heat capacity of an ideal gas at constant volume respectively, and R is the universal gas constant. Okay, right. We can prove this relation. For example, how can we prove means, so we begin with the equation. This is what the equation, that is delta Q is equal to delta U plus P delta V. That's we discussed in our previous class, thermodynamics second class. Here you know that relation delta Q is equal to delta U plus P delta V, and after that delta Q is observed at constant volume. If delta Q is observed at constant volume, when constant volume means change in volume is 0, no? So you can put delta V is equal to 0. There itself we can write Cv is equal to delta Q by delta T at P, that is equal to delta U by delta T at P, and next plus del P into delta V by delta T at P. Okay, and before completion of this, right, here Cv is equal to delta Q by delta T at P and delta U by delta T at P. See here, Cp is equal to delta Q by delta T at constant pressure, that is what P he mentioned, that is equal to delta U by delta T of P plus P into delta V by delta T at P. And you can also say before this, see after completion of this point, you can say Cv is equal to delta Q by delta T at V is equal to delta U by delta T at V, that is equal to delta U by delta T. Right, U means that is what internal energy, T means temperature, and V means volume. V means volume, right? Okay. And now this is what we have written. This is what we have written. Delta Q is observed at constant pressure. At constant pressure, right? Now, the subscript P can be dropped from the first term when compared to the previous expression what I told you. The subscript P can be dropped from the first term since U of an ideal gas depends only on T. Now, for a mole of an ideal gas, PV is equal to RT. For a mole of an ideal gas, PV is equal to RT, which gives P into delta V by delta T at P is equal to R. So the equations what we come across in our discussion will give us the desired relation, that is Cp minus Cv is equal to R. This is what we can prove with the help of this equation and this equation and this equation and this equation. And one more equation I told you, that is Cv is equal to delta Q by delta T at V is equal to delta U by delta T at V, that is equal to delta U by delta T, right? Okay. Now we are going to discuss the next continuation topic, thermodynamic state variables and equation of state. Thermodynamic state variables and equation of state. Okay, right. So in our previous class, in the same chapter, that is the second class of thermodynamics, we discussed what is a thermodynamic system and what are the microscopic variables and what are the macroscopic variables and what about the different systems, that is what isothermal system and adiabatic system, right? That's what we discussed in our previous class. But now here we are going to see the equilibrium state. For example, every equilibrium state of a thermodynamic system is completely described by specific values of some macroscopic variables, also called state variables. What are those? For example, an equilibrium state of a gas is completely specified by the values of pressure, volume, temperature and mass. Mass means here what? Composition, if there is a mixture of gases. Mass means, suppose if there are two more gases, means we have to consider the composition also, right? Okay. A thermodynamic system is not always in equilibrium. Important point, ma. Thermodynamic system is not always to be in equilibrium. For example, you take this. A gas allowed to expand freely. A gas allowed to expand freely against vacuum. Against vacuum is not an equilibrium state. A thermodynamic system is not always in equilibrium. For example, a gas allowed to expand freely against vacuum is not an equilibrium state. During the rapid expansion, pressure of the gas may not be uniform throughout. Similarly, a mixture of gases undergoing an explosive chemical reaction is not an equilibrium state. Again, its temperature and pressure are not uniform. Okay, but eventually the gas attains a uniform temperature and pressure and comes to thermal and mechanical equilibrium with its surroundings. I'll repeat once again. Eventually the gas attains a uniform temperature and pressure and comes to thermal and mechanical equilibrium with its surroundings. Okay, right. Now you can see the two pictures here. This picture is what? The partition in the box is suddenly removed, leading to free expansion of the gas. Here you can see. This is what partition. If you remove this immediately, what will happen? This gas will occupy the entire container or entire box. What is B? B is a mixture of gases undergoing an explosive chemical reaction. In both the situations, the gas is not in equilibrium and cannot be described by state variables. In both the situations, a gas is not in equilibrium and cannot be described by state variables. Okay, that is. Next, in short, thermodynamic state variables describe equilibrium states of systems. Am I right? For example, the various state variables are not necessarily independent. The connection between the state variables is called the equation of state. For example, for an ideal gas, you can say PV is equal to mu or T. For a fixed amount of the gas, that is given mu, there are only two independent variables, say P and V or T and V. So the pressure volume curve for a fixed temperature is called isothermal curve. Real gases may have more complicated equations of state. Next, the thermodynamic state variables are of two kinds, extensive and intensive, right? Important point for neat point of view also. Extensive variables means indicates the size of the system. Intensive variables means such as pressure and temperature do not. Okay, intensive variables such as pressure and variables do not. To decide which variable is extensive and which is intensive, think of a relevant system in equilibrium and imagine that it is divided into two equal parts, right? The variables that remain unchanged for each part are intensive. The variables whose values become half in each part are extensive. For example, for easily seeing, The internal energy U, volume V, total mass M are extensive variables. Pressure P, temperature T and density rho are intensive variables, right? Okay. Right, next, it is a good practice to check the consistency of thermodynamic equations using this classification of variables. Once again I will repeat, it is a good practice to check the consistency of thermodynamic equations using this classification of variables. So for example, in the equation you can say delta Q is equal delta U plus P delta V, right? The quantities on both the sides are extensive because it is what, like work, it is internal energy, it is a heat energy, right? That is okay, ma. So in this class we focus to discuss specific heat capacity and thermodynamic state variables and equation of state. Meanwhile, we also discussed some of the valuable information regarding the water, that is specific heat capacity of water. Okay, right. So in our next class we will continue to discuss what are the different thermodynamic processes. Okay, right. Thank you.